Hello and welcome to part 3 of the Fat Loss Self-Coaching video course. By the end of this video, you will know how to eat more but still lose weight, how to not feel hungry while you are losing weight, and you will know the tricks that will make you lose weight without tracking anything. So by following the advice in this video, you will already lose weight without doing any sort of tracking. Now it's important to mention that all the information that I will discuss in this video can also be found written down in the free ebook that you can get in the description below. There's a link there that goes to my Gumroad store and you can download the ebook for free over there. So if you want to have it in a PDF format, you can also get it right there. All right, let's get into it. So let's start with the absolute basics. If you're not going to watch this whole video, this is the most important to keep in mind. If you follow these two rules, most people would lose fat without tracking anything. And those are very simple rules. Number one, eat whole foods as much as possible. Whole foods just means unprocessed foods. And number two, prioritize protein-rich foods every meal, preferably animal-based. Why is it? Well, protein is the most satiating macronutrient, meaning it will make you feel full the fastest. Protein calories are partially burned off. We will discuss this later as well. Protein-rich foods are often very nutrient-dense foods. Think about eggs, dairy, meat. They are also full of vitamins and minerals and healthy fats. Then we have whole foods. They are less energy dense than processed foods. Think, for example, a potato versus potato chips. If you have 100 grams of potato, they'll have way less calories than 100 grams of potato chips. Whole foods are also more nutrient dense. Again, potatoes more nutrient dense than potato chips. And whole foods contain more fiber, and fiber makes you feel full. So all of these things combined will make sure that you are satiated more, you're not as hungry, you will consume less calories, and as a result, you will lose weight. So just following these two rules as much as possible will already result in you losing fat without doing any tracking. So if you're not going to watch the whole video, please just follow these two rules. Now we're going to go into more detail, so let's keep going. Let's start off with some basic nutrition knowledge that is really important when it comes to making decisions about your food every day. Most people are ignorant about these simple facts about food, and as a result, they don't make very intelligent food decisions. The first thing you have to know is that carbohydrates, protein, they're worth about 4 calories per gram, but fats are worth 9 calories per gram. So what does this mean? It means that foods that are high in fat usually have a ton of calories. Think about nuts, salmon, or peanut butter. These foods, even for a tiny amount, can add a huge amount of calories to your diet. So this is important to know because when you have to make decisions about what you're going to eat that day or for a particular meal, you have one option that is very high in fat and one option that is normal in fat. Probably you should choose the normal fat meal if you want to limit calories. The next important point to know is that fats and protein are essential. I have seen some diets designed by some crazy people that contained almost no fat and almost no protein. Now, why is this stupid? It's because fats and protein are essential for the human body to function well. Carbohydrates are not. We can survive without any carbohydrates, but fats and protein, if we don't get enough of these, then we'll get in trouble. Our body cannot make some fats and proteins by itself. So avoid eating a zero fat diet or a diet low in protein if you want to keep healthy. Finally, it's also important to know that not all protein is the same. Sometimes you'll see people saying, well, broccoli has just as much protein as some meat has. But what they don't realize is that protein is different in meat versus broccoli. What makes it different, this protein, is the composition of the amino acids in the protein, as well as how easy it is for us to absorb and digest those proteins. All of these factors, so amino acid composition, digestibility, absorption, are combined in something that's called the DIAS score. You can look it up on the internet, and they basically compared all kinds of foods. Now what they found when calculating this DIAS score is that in general, this is not always the case, but in general, animal protein is superior to plant protein. So if you're going to eat protein and you're not a vegan, then consider prioritizing animal protein over plant protein. Now let's talk about calorie density, and this is really the key to eating more but still losing weight. On the screen we have a comparison. On the left we have 30 grams of mixed nuts, and on the right we have 800 grams of strawberries. Now both of these groups of foods are total 200 calories. Now of course you can imagine 30 grams of nuts is basically one handful of nuts. So you can eat that, you had 200 calories, and after that you're still hungry. But 800 grams of strawberries, you might not even be able to finish 800 grams in a single meal. That's how much that is. So of course, if you eat strawberries, you're going to be completely full. You don't need any more food. And if you eat the nuts, you're probably going to eat a lot more, and you're going to end up with way more than 200 calories. So when we are trying to lose weight, it is important to know this, and to avoid being hungry, focus on foods that have a low calorie density, meaning a low amount of calories per 100 grams. Usually these are foods like fruits, certain vegetables, lean meats, those kinds of foods. The next thing we need to focus on in order to avoid hunger is nutrient density. Your body knows what it needs. Vitamins, minerals, essential proteins, essential fats, other nutrients, and as a result, if you have a lack of nutrients, our body is going to signal that we need to take in more food, obviously, because we need to get those nutrients from somewhere. So we're going to be hungry if we don't have enough nutrients, and we're not going to function optimally as well. Some of these vitamins and minerals are actually necessary to burn fat, for example. So it is important, if we want to avoid hunger, that we focus on foods known to be high in nutrients. These are, for example, fish and meat, dairy, fruits, certain specific vegetables, usually whole foods. And we're going to have to avoid foods that have low to no nutrients. And these are usually processed food. Think about potato chips, cookies, noodles. These are the kind of things that contain some calories, some carbohydrates, but they don't contain any vitamins, minerals, proteins, essential fats, or other nutrients. So these are the kind of foods that we are better off avoiding. And when you do this, you will see that you can eat less, but you will not be as hungry as you were before, because your body has all the nutrients that it needs. Alright, let's talk about satiety. Satiety just means I'm not hungry anymore. And of course, hunger is the number one enemy when it comes to dieting. Most people fail because they're too hungry. So which foods make you feel full the most? That is what we need to know. Now, luckily for us, there is one person that really researched this very deeply. And here I have his blog. I will link it in the description as well. And he basically researched all the vitamins, minerals, and different aspects of food to see which one is going to make us feel full the most. And this was what he found. High protein percentage, fiber, cholesterol, sodium, potassium, calcium are the most satiating food elements. So if we focus on these elements in our food, we're likely to feel full faster, and we're not likely to overeat. So what are some foods that match these criteria? Obviously lean meat and fish. They're high in protein, they have some cholesterol. Usually you put some salt on there, so you have sodium there. Eggs and salt, again, eggs have high protein percentage, cholesterol. You add some salt to it usually, so you got your sodium there. Dairy products, high in protein, high in calcium, usually also contain some potassium and some cholesterol. Fruit are high in potassium, they have some fiber, and high fiber vegetables. They are of course high in fiber and sometimes also contain some potassium. So these are some great choices if you want to eat foods that will make you feel full really fast, and as a result you will not be hungry. Now let's talk about hunger suppression. Again, hunger is the number one reason people fail their diet, and there are actually a few tricks that you can use throughout the day just to make you feel less full. First is sparkling water or any sparkling drink that is low or 0 calorie. And the reason for this is simple. It's just that the sparkling gas usually makes your stomach feel full really fast. And as a result, you're not that hungry as you would normally be. Just think about drinking a full bottle of sparkling water, then trying to eat a meal. I think you're probably going to eat less than you would normally do. The next is gum, mints, and mint tea. There's something about the taste of mint in your mouth that usually you don't want to eat anything. And I think it's partially because the mint makes the food taste weird. Also because we associate mint with brushing our teeth, and usually you don't really eat right after you brush your teeth. Number 3 is black coffee, black tea, or yerba mate. There's some evidence that black coffee, black tea, and yerba mate can help suppress our hunger, and many people find benefit in using these beverages to feel less hungry. Then there is one supplement that has been researched in hunger suppression, and some people swear by it, which is chromium picolinate, and a recommended dosages for that would be 1,000 micrograms a day. It's something you can experiment with. It might not work for everybody, but for some it might make a small difference. And the final one is a little bit of a weird one that you cannot really trigger automatically. But when you're obsessed with something, usually you're not hungry. For example, you're madly in love, or you're really addicted to a certain new video game, or you're working really hard on some project and your complete mind is focused on getting this project finished. Usually people in that state don't think that much about hunger. They're not really feeling that hungry, and they often undereat. So just trying to keep yourself occupied with something that you find really interesting can actually help you suppress your hunger. Alright, the next point that is important to realize when we are choosing our foods during the weight loss is the thermic effect of food. What this basically means is that when we eat foods, our body is going to digest them. Part of the calories that we ingest are getting lost during this digestion process as heat. And the percentage of the calories that basically gets burned as heat is different between protein, carbs, and fats. You can see it on the screen here. And as you see, 20 to 30% of the calories that you consume from protein already gets burned as heat during digestion, meaning that actually we can eat more protein calories compared to fat calories and still end up with the same weight loss. Now, we don't have to get too much in the details here. What you just need to remember is that when it comes to choosing between protein, carbs, and fats during your weight loss period, protein is king. Next, we have eating style, and this is very important as well, especially nowadays when a lot of people are eating in front of the television, in front of their phone, and they're usually distracted, kind of just putting the food in their mouth without thinking about it. And this often leads to overeating because we don't really listen to the signals of our body that we are full, and we also don't really take the time to chew the food and digest it properly. Now, there are a few tricks that you can apply that will make you eat slower, and as a result, you're less likely to overeat and more likely to eat less food until you feel satiated. The first is eating with chopsticks. Most people in the world will eat slower with chopsticks compared to using a fork, a spoon, or a knife. Now, of course, there are some people that may watch this that grew up with eating with chopsticks. They are very quick at it, so this tip doesn't really work for you. But for other people, consider trying to eat with chopsticks, and you will realize that first of all, you cannot eat distractedly. You really have to pay attention to your food, and secondly, you're going to eat slower. Number 2, eat very spicy food. If your mouth is on fire, you're not going to eat very fast. Thirdly, eat food that requires effort. So for example, when you cook meat, make a big juicy steak and don't cut it into pieces beforehand. Just have it on your plate, cut it right there and then. Eating meat and fish from the bone is a good one. Shellfish, when you have to peel your shrimp, for example. Spaghetti and noodles can require some skill to eat them properly. Or think about certain fruits that you might have to peel before you can eat them. All of these things will force you again to eat slower. The next is chewing properly. Firstly, this is going to be very important for digestion. Also, again, it will make you take longer with the food, and as a result, usually you will feel full faster. Eat food from a small plate or bowl is also a good one. And the reason this works is when you finish your small plate, you have to consciously decide that you want to have more food and how much more of that food you're going to take. But if you eat from a large plate, usually you feel that whatever food is on the plate, you have to finish it. And when you were putting your food on the plate, you might have put way more food on there than you actually need because you were hungry when you were filling your plate. So eating from a small plate or bowl is actually a helpful thing to do. And finally, make sure that when you are eating, you're not distracted by your phone or your television, but you actually experience the food, pay attention to your food, and I guarantee you that you will see better digestion, better satiety, and it will probably have a small benefit for your weight loss journey. Now, the final point in these weight loss fundamentals is sleep. Sleep often gets neglected, but for weight loss, sleep is actually essential for 3 reasons. First of all, it is known that sleep deficiency increases ghrelin. Ghrelin is known as the hunger hormone. So literally, when you don't sleep enough, you're going to be more hungry and you're probably going to overeat. Secondly, poor sleep usually results in less movement. You're less likely to go to the gym and put in your full amount of effort or do any other sorts of sports. Also, they have seen in research that during the day we are usually fidgeting, moving our hands, moving our feet, moving our legs. And when you sleep poorly, you're also less doing those fidgeting movements. And those fidgeting movements can actually add a lot of calorie burning throughout the day. And the third one is that poor sleep timing will result in less growth hormone. And growth hormone is an important hormone when it comes to fat burning. Now, what do I mean by sleep timing? I mean going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time every day. This will set your biological clock, and when your biological clock is really working well, you will have more growth hormone and therefore more fat burning. But if you sleep usually at 10 p.m. and then the next day you sleep at 1 a.m. and then the next day you sleep at 9 p.m. and then you sleep at 6 p.m. then your sleep timing is poor and you're gonna have less growth hormone. So those were a lot of different principles. I hope that was informative and not too long. Now you should know how to eat more but still lose weight, how not to get hungry while losing weight, and how to get started with weight loss without tracking anything. In the next video, we're going to go into the detailed weight loss strategy, the nitty-gritty details. And I'm going to teach you exactly how you decide what you have to eat every day, week to week, to achieve your goals. So if that is interesting to you, subscribe to the channel so you will see that next video coming. If you found this video informative in any way, please leave a like. Thank you so much for watching and have a good one.